Chapter 6. Mr. Hiller. Mr. Hiller came to room 3. He was a friend of Miss Perry's. "Mr. Hiller works in a nursery," she said. "Who knows what a nursery is?" One of the girls spoke up. "It's a room for a baby." "That is one kind," said Miss Perry. "Mr. Hiller works in another kind. He works in a plant nursery. He sells plants and seeds. He is here to tell us about them." Mr. Hiller talked about gardens. As he talked, he drew pictures on the blackboard. He drew a bunch of lettuce with curly leaves. He drew a round head of lettuce. "You can grow both kinds," he said. He talked about radishes. "You can grow the ones that are round and red," he said. "Or you can grow the long white ones." He drew a picture of each kind. He talked about flowers. He drew a sweet pea vine on a pole. "Next week," he said, "I'll bring some plants and seeds to school. There will be some for each of you. If you want to, you can have your own gardens." That evening, Gregory told Mother about Mr. Hiller. "I'm going to have a garden," he said. "Gregory, I don't think you can," she said. "Why not?" he asked. "There's no place for one," she said. He looked outside. There was concrete all around the house. He looked into the burned building. The floor was concrete, too. Mother was right. He had no place for a garden. He had wanted to plant all the things Mr. Hiller had drawn on the blackboard. The curly lettuce was what he liked best. He took a piece of chalk and drew a bunch on the wall. It was not very good. He drew another one. That was better. He drew more bunches of curly lettuce. He drew a long row of them. They looked good in a row. That was Friday. On Monday, Mr. Hiller came back to school. He brought plants and seeds. Girls and boys chose what they wanted. Ivy chose sweet pea seeds. Gregory stayed in his seat. Miss Perry asked him, "Don't you want any?" "No, thank you," he said. "I already have a garden." Chapter 7. Gregory's Garden. Gregory's garden was in the burned building. It was in the room with 3 walls. He had rubbed out the ship and the alligator he had drawn. They didn't belong in a garden. He had made rows of vegetables across the walls. He made sunflowers. He put them in poles with sweet peas on them. He made a path. The path led to a pool. He put a toad by the pool. "Come and see my garden," he said to Mother. "You know I don't like that burning building," he said. "Can't you find a better place to play?" "It isn't ugly now," he said. "I cleaned it up." He asked his father, "Do you want to see my garden?" "Are there any strawberries?" asked Daddy. "I can put some in," said Gregory. "You do that?" said Daddy. "Put in lots of strawberries? When they are ripe, I'll come out and eat them with sugar and cream." Gregory didn't ask Uncle Max to look at his garden. Uncle Max would only laugh. At school, the girls and boys talked about their gardens. Miss Perry asked Gregory, "How is your garden?" "All right," he said. Ivy was there, and he said to her, "I have poles with sweet peas on them." Ivy said nothing. Miss Perry said, "That's nice. What else do you have?" "Vegetables," he told her, "and I have a path to the pool." She looked surprised. "Your garden must be big." "It is," he said, and he had plans to make it bigger. He took the ladder out of the garage. He set it up in the garden room. When he was on the ladder, he could reach the top of the walls. Now he could have trees in his garden. He made a pear tree and a walnut tree. He made vines to hang from the branches. He made birds' nests in trees. It rained one night, and he lay awake. "My garden will be gone," he thought. But it was not gone. Only a few vegetables were washed away. He was almost late to school that morning. He told the teacher, "I was working in my garden. The rain washed out some of my lettuce." "You work in your garden a lot, don't you?" asked Miss Perry. Yes, I do, he said. I may put in a fountain. Vance was listening. At noon, he asked Gregory, So where is this garden with the fountain in it? I don't have a fountain yet, said Gregory. You're always talking about your garden. Where is it? Asked Vance. Back of my house, said Gregory. Afterward, he saw some of the boys and girls with their heads together. They were looking at him and talking. He thought they were talking about him.